What's going on, everybody? We're going to talk about who the licensing officers are for a New York State pistol license. In Article 400 of the New York State Penal Law, they list these people as licensing officers. And the licensing officer over the pistol license is basically the last person the pistol permit application comes to before it's either approved or denied. The licensing officer's signature is required on the New York State pistol license in order to make it valid. And basically, this person is the last stop the pistol license comes to, of course, before any type of an appeal process if you decide to go that route. Now, there's a little confusion on this. Sometimes people don't understand exactly who these people are. The vast majority of the time, the licensing officer is a county court judge. There are a few exceptions to this. The big exception, of course, is New York City. Article 400 of the New York State Penal Law clearly lays out that the police commissioner for NYPD is the head of the New York City Pistol Permit Bureau. New York City having a population of roughly 8.5 million people, obviously he has a lot of help down there. There's other officers involved that go through the application process, and last time I checked, I believe they had a couple captains who were acting as the licensing officer for the signature required for the New York State pistol permits that were issued through New York City. But technically, the police commissioner under law is considered the head of that pistol permit bureau. And if you go to Long Island, you'll see Suffolk County. The licensing officer is also of the police departments, not the courts. You will find that in the eastern half of the county, you will have the Suffolk Police Department, who is a representative from that is the licensing officer for the pistol license. And then in the western half of the county, they have the Suffolk County Sheriff's Department, who controls the applications, and the representative of the licensing officer is the one who signs those licenses for them. So that's kind of unique. You have a county that's basically split. One side, one police department handles their licensing officers. The other half of the county uses another police department. But by and large, it is a county court judge. There are a few exceptions to this. There are a couple localities in New York State where you might run into a surrogate court judge or a family county court judge. If you look into Cayuga County, here's another example. You had the city of Auburn is in Cayuga County. They used to process their own pistol permit applications and have a licensing officer for the city of Auburn. And then if you lived outside city limits, you applied through the county court system. The county sheriffs handled the pistol license application, and the licensing officer was the county court judge. They ended up consolidating. This was a couple years back. Auburn basically got put into Cayuga County's pistol license application using the county court judge as the licensing officer. So they ended up molding in with the county. Instead of having two separate pistol licensing officers, they now have one. Everything goes through the county court now in Cayuga County. And another good example would be the Monroe County, where the city of Rochester is. If you go into the city of Rochester, you're going to be processing it through Rochester PD, and they have a licensing officer. Now, last I heard, it was the family county court judge who was in charge of that. And then if you lived outside city limits, it was the county court judge who holds precedence over the felony court trials, who was the licensing officer for their permits. And there are a couple other exceptions throughout New York State. You'll find a police department here or there that is the licensing officer, but by and large, it's the county court judge. 90% of the time you will be dealing with a county court judge at the county level who is the licensing officer, and the buck stops with him. Of course, unless you go to any type of an appeals process. So basically, in summary, the licensing officer is a representative from the county court system. There's a few exceptions to that, or it's a representative from a police department or a sheriff's department. And their signature is required on the license, and the licensing officer is also given arbitrary discretion over a carry conceal license, as New York State calls it. Within culture in New York State, it's generally referred to as a full carry. Just as far as the citizenry talks to each other, they generally call it a full carry pistol license. New York State penal law spells it out as a carry concealed license with no restrictions, also known commonly as an unrestricted pistol license. So those are the licensing officers, and I can see how there was a little confusion on that, because depending on where you are, somebody could say, let's say they live in Suffolk County on Long Island, they'll be dealing with the licensing officer of the county sheriff's office down there, and then they move upstate to, say, Delaware County or Sullivan County. They'll walk into the sheriff's office and ask for the licensing officer, and they'll be like, hey, you got to go to the county court judge. We'll take your pistol license, your transfer, we handle the transfer papers, but as far as your new license being signed, it's not the elected county sheriff, it is the elected county judge who handles that. So they'll point you in the right direction depending on where you go, and it does vary a little bit, but the vast majority of the time you will be dealing with a county court judge. So that's that. If you have any confusion on that, that's basically the layout. It really comes down to what county you're in that decides that. So in New York State, be safe, know where you're carrying, and I'll talk to you soon.